why I put a little bit emphasis on this, is my glasses, sorry. Is the carve-out problem on behalf of the branch. So if you have qualified for being a branch, then you have to tax your local income. And this is also a severe problem, because if you think of those branches where I didn't realize I'm already a branch, they might have not taken any action regarding calculating this local tax income. So you have a carve-out problem. You can remember you have your QuickBooks or your system here in the US where you record all your sales and your costs, but what about the local entity out there? You might not have maybe a separate cost center for it, so you might be able to split the sales that you have done in Germany, in France, or in the UK, but probably you might not be able to allocate the costs. So how do you calculate your taxable income? This is a severe problem, and therefore most of our clients, our experience is that most of the people are coming and say, how can we avoid the branch? So how can we avoid the permanent establishment out there? This is the major issue. So therefore I have emphasized it a little bit in this way. So yeah, I'm talking so many things now. Yeah, we talked about structuring rep office, branch, subsidiary, and a few more charts about the subsidiary, which might be interesting because it kind of is a logical end of the development. So if you have a successful development, if you have grown your company, grown your sales, then at some certain point you might end anyhow in finding a legal entity. Yeah, this is for us Germans. It's amazing how I've never seen places where so many fast-growing companies are than here out in the valley. So the decision to form a legal entity might come very fast, yeah, faster than anywhere else. The general distinction is here when you have set up your GmbH, then you might want to think how to organize it tax-wise. Maybe a cost-plus situation could be the best solution for your company, or a buy-sell entity. Buy-sell means that you really that the subsidiary, the GmbH, a local entity out there, really sells the product, so it has cost of sales or cost of goods sold and sales, while in the cost-plus entity you only have costs, but you need to arrive at a taxable income locally, and this is done via the cost-plus. I don't want to go again here too much into those details. But this is the general distinction between those two organizing forms. What the buy-sell entity will also very quickly arrive is, for example, the transfer pricing problem. You need to think about a product price that has to be defined when you sell products from the parent to the local subsidiary. And one thing that I wanted to point out is the documentation, because most of the US, they know that transfer pricing studies have to be made at some certain point of development. And in the US, it's also very cost intensive. It's usually the business of the big four, the KPMG and PwCs outside. But there are also some mid-sized firms who have specialized a little bit in this area. What I wanted to point out tonight is that if you have done this big transfer price study in the US, it might not be sufficient for all of your activities in Europe. Because I can speak for Germany. In Germany, you need to have another documentation in place. There are some Grenzen, some limits that have to be exceeded. I think the intercompany selling volume is 5 million. Up to 5 million, you are free. But if you are over 5 million, you have to have a local transfer pricing documentation in place. And this is maybe just to give you a brief hint, might be a bigger problem than you might think, because, for example, there are not all methods, not all transfer pricing methods are harmonized, and the OECD, for example, does not accept one of the most frequently used methods. This is the CPM method, the comparable profit method. So this is not allowed in Germany, and what we do, so I'm not a tax expert in our company, but what our tax people do is they try to prove to the fiscal authorities that they that they use both methods, so the US method and the local OECD method, and they prove that they come with the OECD method to a comparable result. So that's how we heal the situation at the moment. But it's a problem, and it has to be looked at. Yeah, regarding the actual foundation process, I also would not like to say too much unless you have some questions. The only thing I want to point here out is really that you have the foundation in Germany especially is a very formal process. So you need to have public notaries on both sides. Either in the US and on Germany, you have these apostille procedures if you have no one on ground in Germany. So, but everything can be done. We are prepared, of course, for that. We have support this via bilingual master copies and checklists and so on. We work with a local notary around in our neighborhood. So you can set up everything without having a responsible person in Germany out there. You can do everything from the US, but it takes some more time. You have to get all these signatures, for example, and you need to file all this formal documentation. But it can be done. Just to give you an idea, usually you have to consider a time range of about 3 months when you found from day one from the decision up to the registration in the commercial register. Here's another one. When you want to find or to found a company in Germany, you need to have a local bank account. So you might want to say, what is this guy telling us? This is easy going to make a bank account. But don't underestimate opening a local bank account in Germany without having someone on the ground out there. So a US resident trying to open a bank account in Germany, it can really be a nightmare. And what I was really surprised in the past days, I have learned that the Silicon Valley Bank, most of the companies are using here, they have a correspondence bank in Germany. This is the HVB, the Hypovereinsbank, and this is a part of the UniCredit Bank. And you might not believe, but those people are not too responsive. I was really surprised because Silicon Valley Bank is a big name here around, and I've tried to get a little bit deeper insight, and we now know some people of the Cologne branch, so we would now be able to speed up the process because we have made some contacts out there. But usually you have exactly this. You have these 9 hours, and banks people are working on the bank. They go home at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so that it's very, very small. They are nearly unreachable, and you might want. Sometimes you have the situation that you don't get a response, and you are upset. It's not only 1 day, 2 days. It's sometimes 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You get no response. So you might want to get this problem. It can be a real hold up for your deadline, of course. You know? So. Yeah, but now I'm talking really very, very much, and I hope you are not too tired by now. So, Beate, can you relieve me?
So, I would like to start with our services and what we can do and how we can support your market entry. And so what we see in our experience, one of the first things that businesses who expand need are salespeople. And so we do staff recruitment and search salespeople for you. And then we define a very individual job profile with you and do a research and identify potential candidates, and we have a wide network, and we go into personal interviews with them, and we are able then to check their educational and employment background, and we do prepare reports, and then are able to recommend a potential candidate to you. And what I also would like to mention is that we, in addition, have a quite big network of distributor contacts. So there's also a possibility, if you like to start your sales activities with a distributor. We have worked with a lot of distributors in the past, and also some distributors are clients of us. So there's also a possibility to get into contact. So again, Joe.
Oh, already.
Quick break, short break.
Short break?
Yeah. How's a short break?
Short break for me, okay. Yeah. What we want to talk about, we're close to the end right now, but a few words maybe about compliance. It's tax compliance. Okay. Tax compliance and statutory. I want just to run very quickly through it, but a small gimmick I still have in my pack. In Germany, we have regarding. Okay, I mean you have to do everything, of course, when you have the subsidiary. Yeah, it might be interesting that maybe some of you don't know that in the first 24 months of a new foundation in Germany, you have to do monthly VAT filings. That might be very interesting, even for very, very small companies. So sometimes you really have, in some months you have no sales or very low sales, but still you have to follow this and do the filing with with additional statistical information. There are some other things in place, like within the European community there are ZMs, but I don't want to bore you with these details. But one thing is quite what I want to direct your attention to, so that you might not have heard about the e-balance sheet. Has someone heard about the e-balance sheet already? I suppose not. It's coming. It has been. It's already in place since 2012, but it's really coming in 2013. And this is a thing when you think about harmonizing bookkeeping. This can become a problem because most of the people that want one system, ideally throughout the world. The US system should be copied and pasted in all other countries, so we have the same system. Reporting is easy. But the e-balance sheet might want to cause some trouble now, because they have a tax-driven chart of account, and this has to be followed by tax law for every country, for every selling country in Germany. So it is a rather big volume of accounts, and there you have to take care about. You can do account mapping, or you can. Some clients of ours really decided to do dual bookkeeping. So they're entering the vouchers in their system in the US, send the vouchers to us, and we type it in our system once again, just in order to have it compliant with the e-balance sheet, because they have something like 500 accounts that are mandatory. So, for example, other operating expenses. These are, I think, something like 50 accounts. So 50 individual accounts just driving individual things from other operating expenses. So just that you've heard it, and if the problem arises, you may remember, oh, there was something with the balance sheet. So that's enough for me right now. Yeah, statutory compliance. There is one thing that is coming more and more at the moment in the German fiscal authorities. I mean, of course, you have to follow all these things like financial statements, notes in language, in German language, of course. We as Optegra have prepared dual bilingual reports for our clients. The disclosure is becoming more and more electronic, also in Germany, so everything has to be filed in an electronic way. But this is all of this is no problem. what a problem might cause is the server. So you might want to think, what is he going to tell us now? We are very technically oriented. We have cloud computing and all these kind of things. But German is, in this behalf, might be a little bit behind, because tax authorities are really asking, where is the server? Where is your bookkeeping stored? Where's the actual physical location of bookkeeping? And it needs to be inside of Germany. Still,
Outside
it needs to be inside of Germany. Sorry.
That's a problem if it's outside.
Yeah, it's a problem.
That's a problem.
And it needs an upfront application.
I see.
Yeah.
It must be inside.
Yeah.
It must be inside. Yeah. That's a little bit crazy, I would say, because we are also international working, but cross-border. But still, the bookkeeping has to be within Germany. And if you have your server outside, then you need to file an upfront application to tax authorities. And I can also tell you a nice story of one of our clients that was really turned out to be a little bit of a bad story, because our client was a software production company. So they were producing software, and they sold it they had their European headquarters in the Netherlands and sold to German customers. So, and what they did is they were using a big, one of these big facilities where they only produce house and power, and they put all their servers in. So many companies put their server in these big locations. It's quite common there. And they were using this center, and they said, all of our servers then are located in the Netherlands, and they did it since 2003. And no one was really questioning, because it was an online application. So it is a software for closed-end funds. So the fund managers could from throughout the world, they could access the system and get their reports wherever they were. But the servers were in the Netherlands, actually, physically. So, and what happened in 2010, you also remember 2003, the software was first time sold to this German customer, and in 2010, a new customer who wants to do everything correct, he applied, he did this application, so he filed the application for having its server outside of Germany, in the Netherlands. And then the tax authorities begin to question, since when? And he didn't know, the customer didn't know, so he had to get back to the software producing firm, and they then had to say, okay, we are doing this since 2003. And now what happened? They had to pay a fine for each year, 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, and not for this customer, for all of the German customers. So it's a bit crazy. I'm just telling you what can go wrong. It's just a little bit to open your eyes for this problem. So it's not only theory. It's not pure theory. It can really cause a pain. Okay, financial reporting to US, just 2 or 3 words. The problem is that the local requirements have to be complied with, and this is all in German. So you need to have financial reporting in place that serves your US demands. And usually at the moment for some clients we still do it on an Excel-based location, but of course the best way is to have everything in one integrated system, and then comply, do the reporting, that the reporting comes out of the local accounting right to the US. We're towards the end now, but I think we can still hear some words from you. Thank you.
So what we see is that companies in the startup phase need to concentrate on sales and marketing, and then you have salespeople, and they're running around, and you need a certain back office then, and it's quite obvious. You need a commercial support. And in the startup phase, normally it's not necessary to have a full-time employee then. And therefore we offer a commercial support for a startup phase. And this means in detail that we offer back office solutions for our customers. That's, for example, customer care and commercial support. So we do the invoicing for our customers, also a collection and reminders. We do all communication with the customers and cash planning, payment transactions, and also order management, and if you're shipping products, the cooperation and coordination with logistics providers and inventory management. So you do not have to take care of all these things, and of course you get very individual and up-to-date reports. And what's also possible, that we assist your salespeople. So it's a kind of sales support, and we, for example, do the offerings for the salespeople. We organize their trips, we organize fairs and congresses, and prepare sales material. And so the salespeople can really concentrate on sales, of course. And finally, we calculate the commissions if you work with commercial agents, and also variable salaries, and yeah, that our business administration services. So,
I think we are good in time right now. 5 minutes to 8, so I've spoken enough, I promise you. But before opening our discussion round and talking a little bit more, I want to introduce a special guest that has been advertised, and I'm very happy that he's here with us tonight, Mr. Scott Banyan. We have gone through him as a client for, I think now really at least 2 companies that you have worked on as a CFO. And yeah, it might be quite interesting. I've invited him and he really came. So thanks again. It might be quite interesting to hear a little bit, not only from our side, but from our client's perspective, his experience with us.
Sure.
Go.
Thanks, Joe. So your talk about transfer pricing reminded me why I got out of KPMG a long time ago. So I'm Scott Banyan. I do finance and operations for startup companies. I've been doing that for about 15 years. Tech companies, primarily software. So one of the things that's Joe touched upon, which I can vouch for, is it's really changed from companies developing or establishing their businesses here in the States and then expanding overseas. These days, we really are actually going overseas pretty quickly, within the first couple of years sometimes of forming companies. Part of that is just because our customers are probably already international, given the internet. Part of it also is, for example, I've been with several open source software companies, and there's extraordinary open source software developer talent over in Europe. And so typically, we want to hire those folks. A lot of times we can't bring them over for various reasons, so we end up establishing presence in other countries as we're building our core engineering teams. So what I found as a CFO or finance executive is it's important to me that when I establish in countries that I don't just have an accountant, I need to have essentially what I consider to be a member of my organization. And I pride myself in with my organization that I'm solid support to the development team, solid support to sales and marketing, and to the company as a whole. And I expect that to be the same in the subsidiary. I actually spent time overseas as well in my career being on the subsidiary side, and I've seen what it's like kind of being on the sub side and having the headquarters be a bit of a black hole. So I've always felt that would never happen on my watch. So when I started looking for partners to help me, I really would test them. So for example, one of my companies, we set up our international HQ in Dublin, Ireland. And one of the Norton affiliates, Squires, Neil Squires, was recommended to me as our accountant. So I actually pushed him to do more than accounting. I had him do HR, I had him do facilities, I had him go out and find us an IT person. I think I even had him go to the sales manager's office to help go through receipts. The bottom line was he was willing to do it, and after he'd kind of gone through that litmus test with me, he's now the guy I would use in Ireland. I think part of the litmus test with Optegra was I had one thing that is also important is we operate on a much faster cycle time here in the valley, in America, but in the valley in particular. And a lot of times there's less urgency in Europe. There can be good things about that because I have thoughts about how our quality of life balance is here. But I actually had something that was due right away, and Optegra turned it around, and I knew that I had found a winner because they turned it around on a German holiday. So if someone will turn something around on a German holiday, then you know you've got a keeper. So really, the biggest key for me finding a partner is, are they willing to go the extra mile for you? The size of companies that we are, we're $1 million to $50 million in revenue, and as a finance organization, we're overhead. So we want to keep as lean as possible so that we can spend money and invest in sales and marketing and development. So we really, really rely on partners where we cannot have full-time people. So finding partners who will essentially represent you in the various areas is key. So
That's enough.
that's all I got to say. There's a lot more to say, but that's what I'll say now in a short time.
Thank you.
Beate? So I think we can now open up discussion or questions. Anything from your side? We can also discuss it.
I just have a question. What is your experience of what's changing in government regulation? I happen to know Germany does have a really lovely and vibrant